Good morning. Muted again. And welcome to another edition of Let It Be Known, brought to you by the Bell Project, where they are helping uh, tens of thousands of people with getting around this antiquated and very oppressive cash bail system. And also sponsored by the March On PAC, a women led PAC that is trying to change or at least protect democracy. We got a lot going on, of course. We always say that, right? But today we got a special guest, Thompson Hospitality, the black-owned business owner who you see in airports, in a lot of different airports. We got to talk to Warren Thompson this morning. We know, speaking of talking, that the president, of course, as RNG mentioned, had a lot to say last night. And among those things that he had to say, among the things he had to say was that we are dealing with wars. We don't have time for Medicaid and Medicare and daycare. Wow. Um, and apparently, according to a number of posts, the White House took down that part of the video. But of course, not before so many other internet users, social media users, decided already clipped that and started using it everywhere else. Un- Unreal, unreal. It is Final Four time, right? Isn't it like we Final Four? So that means I'll be tuning into Swag Sports, RNG Swag Sports, because I'm sure he's gonna have something to do with that, as well as all of the great things that happen in HBCU sports in particular, though. So check him out on YouTube. And wherever else he may air, I watch him on YouTube. RNG Swag Sports. So check that out. You're never disappointed with him. He might even have a crawfish broil as he broadcasts, and some maybe he got some good beer to go with that stuff too. Final Four is this Saturday, an HBCU basketball game this Sunday. Okay, see, and that's just a taste, a very, very, very small taste of what you get with Swag Sports, RNG Swag Sports. So check it out um, if you want to be in the know, or simply to be entertained. um, this morning, folks. Oh gosh, it's one of those things where you just continue to shake your head about what goes on, not just, well, certainly in this country, but in the judicial system. And this guy right here, this situation right here, a Florida judge is now being publicly called out, reprimanded after invoking one of the most racist statements from the bench you'll find. He told a black defendant that she might benefit from chopping cotton, and that happened during a plea hearing. According to the filings from the Florida Judicial Qualifications Commission, Judge John Jordan was discussing community service for a 33-year-old black woman. He turned to her great uncle and asked if he had land where she could work it for 30 hours, quote unquote. Then he went further. He said, all my family's farming. They love me out there. You ever chop cotton before? You know what that is? He asks. He says, you take a hoe and knock out the weeds, and that'll straighten you up real quick. That'll learn you something. In a courtroom from a judge directed at a black defendant. Now he later said that the comments were ill, quote unquote, ill considered, and acknowledged that he failed to think about how referencing working the land and chopping cotton would be interpreted given the history tied to both. He insisted that he's not a racist, and the commission says there's no evidence his rulings have been based on race. Of course, they have no choice but to say that, right? But the commission did take some action. It said that he failed to recognize how inappropriate comments were, and they issued him a formal warning. They said the language like this could weaken public confidence in the court. That's if it's already not weakened. They also said it could raise doubts about whether justice is being delivered fairly. They said that with tongue in cheek, huh? But it wasn't the only issue. In a separate April 2025 incident, this judge was cited for scolding two public defenders in a way that the commission said was not patient, not dignified, and not courteous. But this came from a judge. Ever chopped cotton? Worked that land? And he didn't stop himself, and that's really the issue, right? Dr. Nicole says, "Nothing surprises me about Florida. Why do folks still even go there?" 100%. Oh my goodness. Going to Florida. Let's go to Florida. Not me. I've been there enough, and every day it gets worse for especially for people of color. You know, they just named the airport down in Florida. I'm trying to remember the air which airport it was. Not Orlando. Another airport after Donald Trump. Governor DeSantis signed the papers, and they named the airport after him. But Florida, yeah, it's whew. You know, there was one time we were considering, like, just having a condo there in Fort Lauderdale area. Very smart not to have done that. I just can't see being there, but, you know, it's everywhere now though, right? Although Florida is really Florida is certainly has become not too much different from Mississippi and Alabama. Warren G says Trump has made being a racist great again. Nothing will happen to this judge under this administration. Exactly. And you got the Governor DeSantis out there, of course. Governor DeSantis has removed black judges. Mike V got a new nickname for DeSantis. He says his name should be Dis Disappointment. Yeah. So that's Florida for you folks, and that's the judge for you. I'm telling you, I have been in so many courtrooms covering different cases, you know, from just the people, unknown people to, of course, famous people, but just being in the courtroom setting and watching how it actually works, you know, famous or not, watching how it works, it's very interesting, and you can. It's such a huge difference. No matter if the It's such a huge difference when it's a black defendant, a Hispanic defendant, a person of color defendant, as opposed to a white defendant. The differences, and it doesn't matter. It seems to not matter who the judge is. He said Declantis. Doesn't seem to matter who the judge is. You see a big difference. You feel it and see it. And and you know that, you know, unless if you are a person of color, the only real chance that you have, if you have resources, or you just happen to get a very, very engaged, aware, and astute jury, if it's a jury situation. But man, The courtrooms in American justice is not for people of color. Simply not. And that really, pertains to whatever your social standard is, but particularly for those who don't have resources. So I would just, you guys, steer clear of it. Steer clear of it if you can. Mike V says, while China focuses on developing electric vehicles and artificial intelligence, the U.S. is focused on racism. It's a great point. It is an excellent point. And now, because I've always said, Mike, and you probably have heard me say this, that, racism, hate itself, it blinds you to a lot of things. It's an impairment to the people who are racist and people who are hating. It's an impairment. And so the US, like you said, focuses on racism while China is ahead of the game. And you remember when Trump was running and he'd talk about how we gonna beat China, we're gonna be superior to them in all facets, et cetera, et cetera. And China has gone on about his business doing China things, like you said, developing electric vehicles and artificial intelligence. I mean, he spent the whole all his energy as far as directed it that way with the TikTok thing. He got his boy to take over TikTok. Drill, baby drill. What's your name? But yeah, we are focused. You're right, but Mike V is absolutely right. This country focuses so much on its hate for people who don't look like Columbus, I guess, and it becomes and has become, because this immigration thing. I said it from the beginning. I saw Simone Sanders do a whole monologue on it just yesterday, that it was never just about immigration. It was never just about immigrants. And I just remember folks saying, "Oh, that has nothing to do with us. We resting. We resting. You good? Yeah, resting. Soon you'll be resting in peace. Keep your resting going on. We doing our line dances. Yeah, yeah. And where has that got you? It's like, give me a break. Give me a break." And I said it then. This was like back in January, February of last year. Oh, we resting. We line dancing. Mike V. I don't know what Usher Vance said. No, I didn't cover the interview. Uh, I, you get exhausted, and I know in this business, in the news business, you got to stay informed, as and more so than anybody else. But there are some things that I've just decided, you could read about stuff like that in the Washington Informer, because I'll national things I cover for the Washington Informer, but these things like Usher Vance, Usher, whatever, for a woman to me, either either she is held against her will all these years, or she's just as bad as him. You can't be married to something like that. I certainly no way advocate for divorce or whatever without, of course, reasonable grounds. But You can't be married to something like that, support something like that publicly, and not be down with it by now. We need love. We need to spread love fast and stop this hate. Wasn't that a slogan? Spread love. Give me a break, like Nell Carter, when he says. Um, okay, so here's the rub. Mike V says she was a Democrat up until entering the White House, and she supported Costco against Target. Wow. And so she came out and said that, and she probably went home to some backlash. Oh my gosh. But I don't know, how do you marry people like that? What how do women particularly marry men like that? Because the public persona, and I don't know JD at all, but the public persona gives you the idea and the impression it has to be, it's one of those kitchen in the bedroom. That's all, that's the only place that he believes you belong. Yeah, it's no different than Mayo Karen. But that's the type of guy that he and all those folks in that clan, that's how they come off. And speaking of the clan and the government, have you seen the latest on the social media situation? The U.S. government, they are they're more than just monitoring your social media. Their request for user data from technology companies has skyrocketed 770% in the past decade, according to new research. In total, information from more than 3.5 million accounts have been shared with the federal government, which they say reflects routine government requests reported under standard transparency disclosures. And you remember just a week or so ago, they Meta announced that on Instagram, don't send any private messages on Instagram that you don't want other people to read, because everybody will be able to see them. Basically, don't make any phone calls on Instagram that you don't want people to hear, because people are going to hear them. She says they see my account, they be like, she's crazy. But the 3.5 million accounts, well, the figure surges to 6.7 million, almost 7 million accounts, when including Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act requests. And so the group that, or the agency that's used, is called Proton, which based this research on public transparency reports from Apple, Alphabet Inc., Google, and Meta platforms. And they found that the U.S. government has steadily increased requests. The number of disclosed accounts jumped by 927% at Apple, 557% at Google, and 668% at Meta. Apple is interesting too, because it's always a new iteration of the iPhone. And not only that, when it's not a new iteration, listen, every other day, oh, we are updating. And you gotta update. And what are you updating to your phone? Do you really know? And here's the thing. They say that this is not a blue or red thing, a Republican or Democrat thing. This is bipartisan. Both sides do this. And she says she looks up how to curse people out in different languages so they don't suspend her account. I think they can speak different languages, Trixie. But it's pretty crazy how the government is just all in your business. So don't think for a moment that anything's private anymore. That's just the way they're doing things. That's how they're doing things. I'm going to totally switch gears as we await our guest this morning. I don't know how many people um, saw this, but you have all of these. Yeah, not all of these, but you have some big name folks in Hollywood that are really also upset and has been speaking out, like Robert De Niro against Donald Trump and others, and um, but so has this man and Bruce Springsteen, and he did a concert in Minneapolis, and I tried to make out. Well, let's check it out for just a little piece of it.
Welcome, Minneapolis, St. Paul. Welcome to the land of hope and dreams, American tour. I want to begin tonight with a prayer for our men and women in service overseas. We pray for their safe return. The mighty East Street Band is here tonight to call upon the righteous power of art, of music, of rock and roll in dangerous times. We are here in celebration and defense of our American ideals, democracy, our Constitution, and our sacred American promise. The America that I love, the America that I've written about for 50 years, that's been a beacon of hope and liberty around the world, is currently in the hands of a corrupt, incompetent, racist, reckless, and treasonous administration. Tonight, we ask all of you to join with us in choosing hope over fear, democracy over authoritarianism, the rule of law over lawlessness, ethics over unbridled corruption, resistance over complacency, unity over division, and peace over war.
And indeed, he broke into Edwin Starr's War. What is it good for? After that speech, and then immediately after performing War, what is it good for? He performed his anti-war song, perhaps the song that most know him best for, Born in the USA. Bruce has been very outspoken, and the president has been taking shots at Bruce for the better part of the last year or so, as he has been extremely outspoken. Like again, Robert De Niro, and this was at the Target Center. It was jam packed in there. And Bruce says they picked the wrong town. The power, the solidarity of the people of Minneapolis, of Minnesota. He said those folks were an inspiration to the entire country. Mike P says, "Did you hear that, Chili? You're not welcome on that tour." Yeah, isn't that so? Right, Mike. Isn't that interesting? That you get a Bruce Springsteen doing this, and then you get Chili doing what she's doing. And I agree, RNG. He says Bruce has always been a real one. I've always been a fan of Bruce Springsteen. And that is so true. You get a platform like that, and especially, and I have to say, it's a white megastar using his platform, and this is not the first time. I mean, he's been consistent using his platform in this manner. That's pretty bold, because none of this stuff. Mike B says, "Send Bruce an invite to the cookout." He's always had an invite to my cookout, and little Stevie too. And you remember his horn player, Clarence, the big black man who was as cool as my man used to say, cool as the other side of pillar, Clarence Clemens, who unfortunately passed away several years ago. But yeah, he had to use that in his position with all the privilege he has. None of this stuff, not economically anywhere, hurts a Bruce Springsteen. Very wealthy, very famous, very white, but yet, um, he says, "Nah, this is just not right," and he calls out the racism. And it's not new. He's been doing it. It's like David Bowie. I always appreciated David Bowie, who was very outspoken about the treatment of black artists. Very instrumental in getting in MTV. One of those individuals who was very instrumental in getting MTV to play black music in the 1980s. Because he told them, "Hey, you're not. If you're not going to play them, don't play me." And so, hats off to Bruce Springsteen. And somebody said, "Let's do the black trade, right? Chili for somebody." Who I forget who they were trading chili for. Listen, they could actually trade her for actual chili. That's how worthless she is right now to many. But again, you have to give respect where respect is due, and certainly, whether you agree with a Bruce Springsteen or not, it's the fact that he is willing to stand up and has been willing to stand up. It says a lot. Dr. Nicole says Bruce just really loves America and what he at least thought it stood for until it flipped over recently and exposed itself. Yeah, and it always killed me that folks always misunderstood. Folks who didn't know misunderstood his "Born in the USA" anthem. People thought that it was like a patriotic song, and it's not. It's an anti-war song, if anything. And you saw him pair it in that concert the other night in Minneapolis with Edwin Starr's "War, What Is It Good For?" Absolutely nothing. Oh gosh, that's where it's at though. So good for Bruce, and the crowd went crazy as you would expect. And I always love when artists cover other artists. One of the great things, I'm a big Prince fan. One of the great things that I used to love about Prince and his shows, he covered other artists and covered them sometimes a lot better than the artist itself. Mike V says, then Luke remakes it with Band in the USA, and Luke running for Congress now. And why not, right? Everybody else does. Yeah, I mean, look, this is nothing new. Donald Trump was a reality TV star. Trixie says, but as black people, we need to stop letting everyone to a cookout. They let Amber Rose in and only listen. If you paid any attention to Amber Rose before she, cut her hair off and part of her brain with it, you knew where she was coming from. You had to know. You should have known, I should say. But people like Bruce Springsteen and the late great David Bowie were always, in my view, welcome to the cookout. Folks, I'm going to switch gears. Warren Thompson has built one of the nation's most successfully family-owned hospitality companies, and now he's hitting a milestone few have reached. His company, Thompson Restaurants, just posted 12% year-over-year growth and is pushing toward 100 locations by next year. Man, you talk about ambition. From expanding to airports like Reagan National in DC to launching new concepts rooted in family legacy. You gotta love it, family legacy. We always talk about generational wealth. Well, Mr. Thompson obviously is keeping it in the family and doing the right thing. Thompson, he is scaling fast while keeping a community first approach. Well, folks, welcome to Let It Be Known, Mr. Thompson himself. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Good morning, and thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely. First and foremost, congratulations.
Thank
That's
you.
the first and foremost. Congratulations. Love the picture behind you. Um,
All right.
you have been able to still thrive in a culture, not a culture, but an air of in this community, this country we live in now, that really people who look like you, they're trying to make sure that you don't succeed at anything, but you have done it. How have you been able to do it?
Well, a big part of it, I think, is captured in the painting behind me. If you look to the far right, the shorter man there was my great grandfather. Now, his father, my great great grandfather, was born a slave, spent 30 years as a slave. When he got his freedom, shortly after, he started his own business, started a very successful blacksmith business. He lived to be 103. And so the 73 years of freedom, he ran his own business. My father told me that story over and over again when I was a kid. And he told me I had no excuse for not being able to start a business, but more importantly, making it successful. So we've been in business now for 33 years. We've seen it all. We've seen recessions, we've seen pandemics, we've seen everything you can. Now we see the current administration that has attacked minority-owned businesses left and right. But this too will pass, and we'll come out of this stronger than when we entered. So
Mm,
we look at each challenge as an opportunity to perfect our craft and to get even better.
yeah, absolutely. And you're growing at a time when many independent restaurants are struggling. What are you doing differently that's allowing you to scale without losing control?
Yeah. Well, we're growing a lot through acquisition and new unit openings. It is a tough time in the industry. Our restaurant sales track quite directly with consumer confidence. When consumer confidence, because of oil price, gas prices go down, restaurant sales tend to lag or to go down. But we look at this as an opportunity to acquire other companies, to look at development of restaurants, because landlords now are willing to negotiate better than they would have 6 months ago. So it's an opportunity for a company that's been around for 33 years to grow through organic growth and acquisitions.
And you're moving into Reagan National with Wise Guy Pizza and Makers Union. Why are airports such a key part of your strategy right now?
We've been in airports for roughly 15 years. And the way we enter the airport business is through partners that we license our brand to. So those operations will be operated by other companies with as a licensee or a franchisee of our brands. Our growth right now continues to be across the 15 brands that we own. We are in the process of acquiring another restaurant group that has a very high-end product. We think that gives us another tool in our box to grow going forward. But
Mm,
for the most part, all of the restaurants that we operate from a retail perspective are owned by Thompson.
okay,
Yeah,
great. And you're expanding into places like Tidewater, places
right.
in Pennsylvania, North Carolina. How do you grow regionally without stretching your brand too thin?
Well, Great question. Tidewater is where I was born and raised, so it's my home area, if you will, and I've always wanted to get back there. We first entered the market through with our contract side of the business. We've had Norfolk State University for a number of years. We recently, 2 years ago, picked up Hampton University. So we go into the market with our contract side of the business, and then we place restaurants close to those operations. So that is, and now that we have, let's see, 3 restaurants in the Tidewater area, we're actively looking for additional expansion. That is a good market. It's a growing market. It's a stable market. You have a lot of military in that market. The military is growing in terms of number of people. So we think that it's just it's only a 3-hour drive from our home office there in Reston, Virginia. So we look at it as all part of the same DMV market.
Oh, that's awesome. And again, for folks who don't know Thompson Hospitality, Thompson Restaurants, give them a little bit of an overview, please, so our audience will be totally up to speed. And where can they find even more information about Thompson?
Sure. So you can go to our website, thompsonhospitality.com. It'll tell you all the information on the company. If you go to Thompson Restaurant Group, it'll give you specific information about the locations of our restaurants and the different brands. But the company was founded in 1992. After spending 9 years with Marriott, learning the business, I left Marriott and started the company with a leverage buyout of about 31 restaurants from Marriott. I converted them over to Shoney's, lost a ton of money on that business because we didn't control the brand and the brand started to tank. So we moved into contract food service and sold off the restaurants, the 31 restaurants, over a period of 10 years. We transitioned into contract food service, providing food service on college campuses to large corporations, hospitals, K through 12 school districts. We created a strategic partnership with a company called Compass Group. They were number 3 in North America when we started. They're now number 1 by a large measure. So they're our strategic partner that we operate together, large universities, large corporate accounts. And then Thompson today will operate about 17 HBCUs separately from Compass. So we have our own niche that we have focused on. Then we also operate, we do facilities management, we'll do janitorial, plant operations, landscaping, all of the services that might be needed by a company or a university. Then our third division is our retail restaurant group. So in that group, you'll find brands like Matchbox, Milk and Honey, Wise Guys Pizza, Big Buns, Velocity Bar and Kitchen, Hen Quarter Prime. So a number of restaurants that we have either purchased the brand and decided to grow, or we've developed the brands internally. I think Milk and Honey is a prime example. We met a celebrity chef, Sammy Davis, who started Milk and Honey. He had 2 restaurants. We ended up purchasing the restaurants and the brand from him. And we still work with Sammy. He's still very much a part of the brand. But we have 19 of those now, with about 3 under construction. So it's a brand that we acquired and we're now growing at a fairly rapid rate. Wise Guys, likewise, we bought 4 restaurants. We now have 9 of those. Big Buns, we acquired two restaurants and the rights, and we now have 9 of those. So we buy a brand or acquire a brand, and then we try to really jumpstart the growth.
And speaking of building brands with meaning, because wow, that's what you're doing. Talk about Miss Peach. Miss Peach is apparently is personal for you. It's tied to I understand it's tied to your grandmother. How do you balance? Great. How do you balance building brands that have soul with the
Right.
realities of running a business at scale.
You know, restaurants today and any business has to have a story behind it that resonates with the customers. And so Miss Peaches, when I decided to develop that brand, I thought about her and what made her so special. She was a midwife in the southeast part of Virginia. She used to
Mm,
deliver babies for $25 a delivery. She stayed very close, so close to her patients that when she passed away, the church was full of people she had delivered who came back to her funeral to pay, because she always developed that relationship that was not only for the birth, but it was for life. She
mm.
also, every Sunday we would have family dinner at her house. There would always be an option to go to Mama Peach's house for dinner. And she always made everybody in the family and the community feel so welcome. That's how she got her name, because everybody thought she was the sweetest lady around. So I tried to create a restaurant with that in mind. Her picture is prominently displayed on the wall. Many of the recipes are as close as I could get to what I tasted when I used to go to her place, to go to her
Mm.
house. The chicken, the fried chicken, the sweet potatoes, the coconut pies, all of those are things that she didn't have them written down, but we worked on the recipes, and I think they are pretty close to the way she used to cook it. It'll never be absolutely the same, but that restaurant now is about 10 minutes from my house. And I go there probably more than any other restaurant, because every time I walk in, I can feel her presence and also a sense of responsibility to deliver excellence and to deliver a good experience as she would have with her patients.
Yeah, it's interesting. You mentioned, Miss Peaches. My wife and I were at a restaurant recently. We was talking to another individual about certain restaurants, particularly black-owned establishments, and one of the things, Mr. Thompson, that seems to happen too often is that you go to an establishment, you get great food the first time, but then after that, it's as they say, a crapshoot.
Right.
How do you ensure that those responsible for preparing foods at your restaurant? I mean, you talked about the recipes, but how do you ensure that second, that 10th experience, that 20th experience is going to be very similar, if not
Right.
just like that first experience?
Right. You're absolutely right. The word is consistency. If the restaurant chain or a restaurant group is not consistent, it will not last. If you look at history has shown that with McDonald's, the reason McDonald's has survived all of these years is that the Big Mac has tasted the same no matter where you are in the world, no matter where you are, or at what time you've visited a McDonald's. It's not the best hamburger in the world, but it is the most consistent. And
Mm,
coming right on that now has been Chick-fil-A. If you look at that Chick-fil-A sandwich, and the reason that the business is generating over $8 million a unit is because of its consistency. So as a company, we have endeavored to follow that and to put very strict systems in place. So if we say that we're going to have a certain chicken and waffle recipe, and we're going to use that recipe throughout all of our brands, so that people will come to know, if I go to Makers Union or I go to Matchbox or I go to Miss Peaches and I want chicken and waffles, it's going to be that same consistent, very good product that they had come to know with a Thompson Restaurant Group. So each one of our brands has a chef driving it. Each one of the brands has recipes and specs that are very tight. And we don't allow the individual restaurant chefs to deviate from that. I love chefs, they're creative, but creativity and having a standard or consistent standard do not always go hand in hand. So we have to kind of tap down the creativity. Now we allow the chefs to be creative on specials that they may be running in their particular restaurant.
Hmm.
That's where the chef can use the creativity. But when it comes to the base product, the standard items that we offer, those have to we have to follow the recipe.
Mm, yes, that's so important.
Right.
You've brought Austin Grill back.
Yes.
What made now the right time, and how do you modernize this brand without losing what made it special?
Right. You know, we bought Austin Grill some years ago, and it was on the decline at the time, and we thought we could turn it around. But the brand had lost its punch, if you will. So we gave Austin Grill a break. We basically converted all of those restaurants over to other brands. We still maintain them on some college campuses and some corporate accounts. You would find Austin Grill or find some of the products in the menus there. But this was the right time we felt to bring it back because we need in our portfolio we were missing a Tex-Mex brand. We were looking at trying to acquire one, and we said, okay, let's bring back Austin Grill. It's been long enough now that anything that was negatively associated with the brand had gone. We felt dissipated, and it's proven to be the case. We brought it back, and it's doing extremely well. We tweaked some of the menu items. We changed the logo. We worked with an African American development marketing firm that helped us reposition the brand. And doing all of that now, we think we've got a successful relaunch of that brand. People who remember it and come there. We have people who drive an hour now to get to Austin Grill, but they come there because they remember the good things about Austin Grill, and we deliver on that. Things like the grilled wings. Austin Grill, in my opinion, has one of the best wing products because they're not fried, they're grilled, they're a little healthier. But we have now fresh made tortillas in the restaurant. We have things that people remember from 20 years ago with the brand. So we're very
Mm.
excited about that. And it actually is just 2 doors down from Miss Peaches. So it's in the same shopping center. Once
Wow.
again, 10 minutes from my house. So I can visit both of those restaurants on a regular basis.
You got to be careful about eating so much, Mr.
That's true.
You talk about acquisitions. Let's talk just briefly about strategy. You're actively, you've mentioned look at acquisitions, especially coffee, bakery, ethnic food. What makes a concept worth bringing into your portfolio?
Yeah. First off, we look at the potential market. Does it go after the broader population, or is it a very specific niche of the population? Does it have broad appeal? Number two, is it a brand that is scalable? Can we grow it? Can we move it to other areas? If we buy the brand and it's in Fairfax County, Virginia, does it transition to DC and Prince George's County, Maryland? And can we grow it in our marketplace? Can we grow it to, we have some restaurants in South Florida. Will it fit in that market? And then we look at it and say, okay, can we operate it without the founders? In most cases, we try to keep the founders involved, but if they're ready to retire or they want to move to a different stage of life, we have to be able to execute and deliver the brand without them being actively involved. So those are kind of the three things that we really focus on during the initial evaluation.
Okay, and you have a loyalty program. You now, from what I understand, have over 200,000 members in your loyalty program. How important is technology in helping independent operators compete with national chains?
Yeah, absolutely. The loyalty program has been a tremendous success. It was only launched, it's been launched about 10 months now, and we've gotten to 200,000. I've challenged the team to get to 400,000 by the end of the year. What we found is that loyalty members spend more, come more frequently. They really become sort of the heart and soul of our retail group. they're the ones you depend on when weather isn't nice, when things are
Mm-hmm.
tough, and if they are affiliated with the brand and they have the loyalty points and so forth, they're more likely as I said, to return and to come back to the restaurant. So we we're challenging. I'm challenging the team to get to 400,000 by the end of the year, and then well over 1 million by the end of the following year. When we have 1 million people in our market that we can communicate with by sending an email, it becomes the most efficient way to market and cost effective way to market. And those people are far more likely to open the email and to respond by coming in. So, no doubt, it is an important part of our marketing strategy.
Yeah, we're talking with Warren Thompson of Thompson Hospitality, Thompson Restaurants. Just a couple more before we let you go. Um, as you grow, as you continue to grow, how do you keep, as you grow nationally, I should say, how do you keep the culture, the connection? How do you keep that local community feel to your establishments?
We're actively involved in the markets where we operate. In fact, I've got a little guest who wants to say
Yeah,
hello to
I
you, my
see. Hi.
daughter.
Oh,
Say hi.
now wait a minute. Now, what's your name,
Tell him your name.
Skylar.
Skylar.
Skylar? Do you eat at your dad's restaurants?
Mm-hmm.
All
Do
right.
you do you like it? You got
She's on.
you have to tell all your friends. I'm sure you do tell all your friends about it, right?
What's your favorite restaurant?
Big vines.
Big Buns. All right.
All
She's
right.
off to school. All right.
And I'm
Enjoy
Take
your
care.
day,
trying not go to
Skylar.
school.
All right. So, so yeah, she loves to visit our restaurants and do table touches and talk to our customers. But
See,
that's
awesome.
part of the culture, you know.
Yeah.
It's having our managers really get engaged in the communities. We can't do it from corporate. It has to be a local, school by school, church by church. We challenge all of our managers to adopt churches in the area, to adopt schools in the area, get involved in those institutions, because that's where our neighbors are and that's where our customers are.
Yeah, and so you just had your beautiful daughter there, and I'm gonna ask you about motivation. I'm pretty sure that's one of the
Oh
motivators
yeah.
for you, but you built this over decades. At this stage, what keeps you motivated, and what does success look like when you hit that 100 location mark?
Yeah. So you're right. I'm fortunate to have a 5-year-old daughter at this point in life, and you know, she she tells me all the time that I work for her, which is right.
Okay.
but
Yeah.
but more importantly, just I do what I do every day because I love it. It's not because I'm doing it for the money or doing it for anything other than the fact I love watching this company grow. And when I say that, I'm also saying I love watching people grow within the company. We have people in our organization who move from dishwasher to vice president. We have people who come in as an assistant manager and now are operating partners, which means they have an equity stake in their particular restaurant. So watching the growth of people and watching this company expand over the years from a $35 million company to a $1 billion revenue company has been exciting. It's been exhilarating, but more importantly, it keeps me excited every day to jump out of bed and check the numbers from the day before. As we grow, we have to continue to bring in people. I have to continue to bring in people who are smarter than I am in certain areas, you know, especially when it comes to technology. Our
Yeah.
business now is so driven by technology, from marketing to financial controls to training and development to how do we how do we offer dietetic services on our college campuses? Gone are the days when a student's going to want to go in and sit down and talk to a dietitian. That student may want to be able to talk to a dietitian at 1 in the morning. So all of
Hmm.
that has to be done through AI so that we can set up a program so that each and every student can talk to a dietitian when they want to, in their own environment. They can sit in their dorm room at 1 a.m. and check in with their dietitian about what it is they're going to eat the next day. So that's how our business is constantly changing. AI is going to help us better predict how many meals we have to prepare in each and every cafeteria each day. So that's going to help us reduce food waste, because our customers are looking for efficiency. They want us to be more efficient and have better pricing than last year. So in order to do that, we have to figure out how to become more efficient in production. Same with the restaurants. The biggest thing that attacks the P&L of a restaurant is waste. And so if you can better predict demand using technology, then you can reduce waste and improve the efficiency of the restaurant. So there's a lot that's happening, and it's so different from how it was 45 years ago when I got in this business. But I think it's all, for the most part, it's for the good.
Oh, well, one of my colleagues just texted amazing how many people are right now watching on one of our channels, watching you, hearing your story, Mr. Thompson. So we really appreciate that you decided to drop in this morning and talk with Black media about this. And hopefully we can do something again with you. It's a privilege. I love that picture back there. And
thank you.
A special thank you to our very special guest, Skylar.
All right. Well, thanks for having us, and enjoyed it.
All the success in the world to you, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Take care. Warren Thompson, who has built one of the nation's most successful family-owned hospitality companies. So congratulations to him, and folks continue to support him. And we will we'll write about him as well in this interview, and so you'll be able to read about it. Those who may have missed this, maybe will be able to read about it as well. We are really proud of this gentleman and what he's been able to accomplish, and we thank you guys for tuning in. It's always a pleasure to have you, and we don't take it for granted. We do know tomorrow's Friday, so we're gonna try to have something fun for you. But we appreciate you watching. Let it be known, as always, stay safe, stay well, and whatever you do, do it great.
Let's go! Let's go, Flav. Hey!